Welcome to Succeed with Shanice, a podcast about keeping it real and helping you thrive in every aspect of your professional journey. I am Shanice, the CEO, sharing my unique perspective as a Black woman in HR and business ownership, and spotlighting conversations where BIPOC experiences in the workplace are shared, valued, and celebrated. Thanks for joining in to Succeed with Shanice, and today I want to talk about the impacts of deciding to terminate, fire, discontinue, whatever term you want to use, someone's employment. Sometimes there are situations where that is the final solution and probably the most reasonable one. But I always recommend that there is intentional thought in trying to identify if this is the right move. And here's why. Discontinuing or firing someone can be expensive. I know folks have heard the saying, and hopefully it's okay that I say that on this say it on this platform. It is cheaper to keep them. And in this case, or at least in cases I have experienced and that I fully support, it's true. The expenses that are tied to not only the final paycheck or the wages owed for any vested time, but also the cost or expenses tied to recruiting. You have to refill the position if that was determined that this was a high priority position. When you think about who's going to handle the duties in the interim, there's most likely expenses tied to potential promotions or temporary assignments for individuals to take on those duties and those responsibilities. So when folks really come to me and say, oh, it's just not working out with this employee, we may need to think about letting them go. My first question is always, how much do you think you have available to make this decision right now in this moment in your budget? How much do you have in your budget to be able to support that decision? Because I feel that is the blind spot for most managers and leaders, and being able to identify what the best routes are. And then I work with them in many different ways, but the two most important ones is, could we work with the individual? Has there been significant amount of time allotted to training and development where, yes, there are expenses tied to that, but being able, one, it's probably less expensive than hiring an entirely new individual. And all the expenses around recruiting, that includes ad placements, job board, HR's time, recruiters' time, search committees' time. That's all expenses or costs tied to just replacing that position. So it may be more affordable to send that individual to a training, a development session, a program. Having history working at institutions, I mean, the resources are right there for folks to take advantage of. So encouraging that employee to take a few courses where there are tuition release and waivers available to them to make that more affordable, but in essence, being able to invest in their development as well as ensure you get all of the things you need for your team or business to be successful. So the first thing I always acknowledge is, have you taken time to develop that person before deciding to let them go? The second is identifying, okay, maybe we've taken the time to develop, sent them to trainings, maybe sent them across the country to conferences, and it's been a couple years and the performance is just not there. Okay, have you then identified ways in which work can be adjusted? Are there certain duties that they are strong in while others are a little bit lacking? And can that be outsourced or refurbished elsewhere, reassigned, elsewhere, so that you can leverage the strengths that they have that still ties to the overall performance of them and your team? Again, takes a little bit of time to strategize and look at how to rework that work or those responsibilities. But again, a lot less expense on the bottom line when you compare that to potentially letting that person go. These are two just immediate suggestions. I always work with managers who are open to really strategizing what is the best direction to go. Because again, I'm always thinking about the bigger picture. It's always a ripple effect. Any decision you make in any organization is going to be a ripple effect. But it's one where it's important to decipher what is most beneficial, not just to the budget, but that's usually high priority, right, in these spaces. So what's more beneficial financially, but also what's more beneficial culturally in engaging that employee in your organization that you're considering letting go, or just finding opportunities for you as a manager to grow in how you think a little bit more creatively when there are challenges or hardships in that area. So this session was just a brief discussion around there are other ways than just letting someone go. I understand sometimes it's unavoidable, but taking the time and pausing a second to think, is there another way, may save you some money, some time, and overall some talent. So again, this is Shanice. Thank you so much for tuning in to Succeed with Shanice. I am more than happy to answer any questions you have about today's topic, or if you have any other topics that I've yet to cover or I've covered in the past. I'm always willing to have those conversations. So feel free to click the button down there in my caption, and I look forward to succeeding with you.